So Rittenhouse is not guilty on all charges. All charges. Kyle Rittenhouse, not only did he not do anything wrong, he did everything right. Everything he did, all his choices, all his decisions was 100%. I think it was the crying. That's probably the and then I shot the motherfucker, right? You could identify, you could feel sorry for that. That's not. And then I shot the mother. That's what. Oh my God. So Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all charges. They dropped the key gun charge, right? If you're under 18, you're not allowed to have a dangerous weapon. Apparently an AR-15 is not dangerous in Wisconsin. So let's listen to some Tim Black.
While we're unarmed, he doesn't focus on us not getting our day in court. He doesn't focus on police brutality. He doesn't focus on the over-policing. He doesn't focus on the racial profiling. He focuses on none of the things that lead the people to be upset enough to come out of their fucking houses during a pandemic or when it's cold out to protest. No, he just focuses on the protests. And that, sir, makes you a supporter of white supremacy because you fail. Now, I know you know that the majority of these so-called protests that turned violent started about an issue where someone lost their fucking life. Why don't you say, hey, if we just stop killing niggas, if cops stop shooting black...
Yeah, that is incredible. You have white America that says Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty, but Jacob Blake getting shot and paralyzed? Jacob Blake for what, walking away? For walking away? So, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. You have Kyle Rittenhouse. I do hate his politics. I hate Kyle Rittenhouse's politics. But I'll say this, that on the murder charge, I think the jury was right. On the murder charge, and what? If you beat the murder charge and you don't, he had 6 charges. Like, that wasn't reckless endangerment, right? It wasn't reckless endangerment. It wasn't, a minor carrying a dangerous weapon. It wasn't. Apparently, if you beat the murder charge, then all the other laws in Wisconsin do not matter. So the key gun charge was dropped, right? So the judge was on the side of Rittenhouse. Oh my God, just put the thumb on the scales. Now, I'll talk about the scales because what's going to happen when the McMichaels walk? When the McMichaels walk, what is going to happen? All that goodwill that, was created by convicting Derek Chauvin, right? Our justice system is fair. Right? Derek Chauvin, a police officer, actually got convicted in America? Are you kidding me? Wow, maybe this is a dawn of a new era. Perhaps the criminal justice system will actually be focused on justice. Joe Biden is going to say the jury system works. Oh, really? Yeah, OJ, he's not guilty, right? Casey Anthony, not guilty, right? Dred Scott, not guilty. Dred Scott decision, I'm sure that he thought that was okay. So, Jesus Christ. The media was, focused on the case, right, on Rittenhouse. Hopefully, now that the Ritten case trial is over, the media will focus on the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial. Hopefully, the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial will get all the focus that the Rittenhouse trial had got. I want to mention a couple more things, but listen to some more Tim Black.
As cops stop getting away with murder, maybe people will be less upset. And those people would not feel so frustrated they want to throw a brick at a window. Maybe you can take that vantage point and see it's a problem, brother. And I did not set to go after you. But as I go over this in my head, I get a little... I don't think you're that stupid. You seem like a bright guy. I think you fucking get it. I just think you're a sellout. But that's the thing. You're a person of color. So you're not selling me out. You're just throwing me under the fucking bus.
So I'm not sure what's going on there with Tim Black. Apparently, somebody said something that got under his skin. Hopefully, he can snap out of that. But not guilty because what? Because he did everything right? No, because, they couldn't convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. Did he murder those people beyond a reasonable doubt? Is there any doubt whatsoever in your mind that perhaps he went in there, just saying he wanted to enforce the law, didn't like the chaos of the, riots, protected property, right? So he's a capitalist. I do hate his politics. And so I got to put that to the side and just look at the facts of the case. I do hate his politics, but on the murder charges, I think the jury was correct. Now, in a civil court, you would have to prove beyond the preponderance of the evidence, right? That's the threshold, beyond a reasonable doubt or versus a preponderance of the evidence. So was there any reasonable doubt whatsoever? Okay, but does the preponderance of the evidence show? So perhaps Kyle Rittenhouse could be sued in court for this, for whatever, the incident in Kenosha. Now, when it comes to, the optics or the bigger implications of the thing, if the McMichaels walk, hopefully the media will focus on Ahmaud Arbery now. If the McMichaels walk, all that goodwill that we got from convicting Derek Chauvin is gone. Convicting Derek Chauvin, wow, we live in a new era, a new dawn, where we actually can see the criminal justice system getting justice. Wouldn't that be incredible? Wouldn't that be amazing? If the criminal justice system actually was focused on getting justice. So people want to say, oh yeah, all that lawyers, all that fucking money, all that, Jesus Christ. Okay, so there is a racist element to this, situation. You're telling me when the Black Panthers, you're telling me when, black folks carry AR-15s, you got, the Proud Boys, you got a Nazi march coming through town, and then on the other side of the street, you got, the Black Panthers or the White Panthers or the Rainbow Panthers, or the Fred leftists, Fred Hampton leftists who are armed with AR-15s, right? From now on, if you have a protest in your Black Lives Matter or you're Antifa or a communist, you need to carry AR-15s, right? Do you not? You got to protect yourself from those AR-15 assholes, right? Just to keep the balance, just to keep the peace. So I do hate his politics. And I hate that he's a racist piece of shit. He's a racist. Kyle Rittenhouse goes drinking with the Proud Boys, right? He's flashing that racist OK sign. They got photos of this shit. So he's drinking with the Proud Boys, flashing the racist OK sign. And you're going to sit there. He goes to another state with an AR-15, right, to quell the violence of a Black Lives Matter protest. Black lives do matter. Kyle Rittenhouse and anybody that associates or thinks of themselves as Kyle Rittenhouse, Black lives do matter. They do matter. Can a protest go out of, control? But essentially, there's, people, Rand Paul, Trump, and there's some other people. There's leftists. Whenever, a person says something and then one of their fans take it to the extreme. I do hate his politics. I hate that he's a racist, white supremacist, low-life, degenerate fuck. And yeah, it is crazy. He's a fucking celebrity now. So God, he could fucking run for president or some shit. He could open up a pizza chain and, hey, eat some Rittenhouse pizza. So he went to the Black Lives Matter protest of the Jacob Blake shooting. So were people pissed off about Jacob Blake getting shot? You had Tim Black making a point about how white America does not see Jacob Blake as their uncle. They do not see Tamir Rice as their son. They do not see Eric Garner as their father. They do not see Elijah McClain as their brother or cousin or Isaiah Brown or John Crawford or Philando Castile. And while it is true that black folks are getting gunned down in America, everybody's getting gunned down in America. And, black folks, I would say, probably are getting gunned down more than white folks and brown folks. But everybody's getting shot. Let's take a look at Johnny Hurley. Johnny Hurley was in Arvada. So he's the Good Samaritan from Arvada. So Johnny Hurley, the Good Samaritan from Arvada, stops an active shooter, right? How many times do you get a chance to stop an active shooter? How many times in your life is there an active shooter in your neighborhood? If there's an active shooter going around killing people, you absolutely have a fucking right to, blow that motherfucker's head off. And that's what Johnny Hurley did. He's a carry concealed, legal, gun-abiding, white American, white male, with all the privileges in the goddamned world, saved the day. He stood up. The cops were scared and cowering in their offices. And while they were, had their heads in the sand, they pulled their heads out and they saw Johnny Hurley had taken care of the situation. And guess what the Arvada police did? They shot and murdered and killed Johnny Hurley. They murdered Johnny Hurley. And then guess what the justice system did with the murderer? They buried the charges. The DA, they all investigated. The system investigated themselves, and they would not put themselves through their own criminal justice system. Does that sound like a criminal justice system that works? Who the hell actually says, unless you got a bunch of fucking money for a lawyer, I'm going to take this to court and it's actually a real threat? Who the hell actually goes to court to settle their differences? And because when you have a broken criminal justice system, what happens when you have no police protection? Then you're just creating the Al Capones and the, sovereign right-wing sovereign movements and the Crips and the Bloods and the MS-13s and all the gangs. You're creating the Sopranos. You're creating the mafia, because when the cops and the system fail to do anything about crimes in the neighborhood, well, shit, either you got to what? Just tolerate it, or you got to do something about it. So the Rittenhouse, like I said, the murder charge, the jury was right. The gun charge and the disorderly conduct, or the reckless endangerment, it's not reckless. That's not reckless. So you have some of these folks, John Crawford just picked up a gun in a Walmart or some shit. Tamir Rice had like a little BB gun. BB gun. Then you had Isaiah Brown, who just had a telephone. Black folks cannot carry an AR-15 around without a substantial amount of danger, from the public at large, from the white supremacist public at large, and from the police. They carry an AR-15 around the way that Rittenhouse was carrying an AR-15 around, already pulled, already in his hands. It's already in his hands in the Wild Wild West. When you pull, then that's, that means shit's about to go down. And when you already have it in your hands, you've already pulled. You've already pulled the weapon when it's already in your hands. So in the Wild Wild West, you can't shoot people in the back, and you can't pull your damn weapon. He pulled first. Why'd you shoot? He pulled his gun out of his holster. So that AR-15, should have been holstered. It shouldn't have been in his hand to where he could just turn around and just blow 100 people away? Just blow 100 people away? It can't be in your hands. Jesus Christ, it's terrible gun etiquette. So I got, my issues with the thing. Like I said, it was the murder charge because they were attacking him. And then crazy how, just one word of defense, how when people say, that guy did it, everybody just like, that one? Okay, well, fuck him. I mean, that's pretty, you probably should have, asked a couple more questions. Everybody's running and chasing the guy. Why are they running and chasing the guy? Who gives a shit? Let's just run and chase after the guy, ourselves. You didn't know what the hell happened. You didn't see what happened. Scapegoating. This society's got a problem with scapegoating. So I hate that he's a fucking racist, white supremacist, low-life piece of shit. I hate that we live in a white supremacist. This is going to make or break, I think, America. We have a racist problem in America, big time. Racism, militarism, capitalism, the three evil triple-headed dragon that needs to be slayed according to MLK. Racism is still in America. Of course it is. We just had fucking the Führer-in-Chief. Are you kidding? There's motherfucking Americans that walk around with Nazi insignia. The enemies of America. There's motherfucking Confederates, enemies of America, who walk around in America and they, are accepted in amongst them, themselves or whatever, but they have a fucking community. They got a fucking place, a home. You're a neo-Nazi, you're a Confederate racist, hate-filled piece of shit. And then those same motherfuckers will hate that there's Irish communities or German communities or black and brown communities. But they have white supremacist, Nazi, Confederate communities. Sundown towns. I bet you there's a lot of white folks that probably lived their entire lives without really talking or interacting with black folks, especially in the flyover states. So ultimately, I hope the media focuses on Ahmaud Arbery, right? The hoopla. We could keep talking about the issues on Rittenhouse, and I think it's important actually to talk about these court cases. You know, people say it's like watching the sausage get made. Let's watch the fucking sausage get made. This is how, you know, our American justice system works. So for transparency, so we could see how it works, for civil procedure, for all them damn rules, for things to appeal, this shit is important. And then let's assume, you know, OJ and Casey Anthony were guilty. Let's assume that they were guilty and Dred Scott was not. Let's assume that the jury got it wrong, but because it was public, the rest of us know OJ is a fucking murdering piece of shit. Casey Anthony, I didn't look into that case too closely, but it seemed like, you know, she was a murdering piece of shit too. So now that we can move past the Rittenhouse trial, let's focus on the Ahmaud Arbery. The defense just rested, or the prosecution just rested, so you're going to get a verdict soon with the McMichaels. The McMichaels, whereas you see in the Rittenhouse case, I would say that the scales were tipped in favor of Rittenhouse. But with the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial, the scales are tipped on the side of Ahmaud Arbery, of him actually getting some justice. And, you know, it's a mixed. There was a guy that got $650,000 for a police brutality case in Columbia, South Carolina. So, you know, sometimes the criminal justice system, you know, comes through. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And for motherfuckers that just defend the goddamn system no matter what the fuck it does, y'all got some privileged, comfortable lives. You think the system works exactly as it will? The system works exactly. Even Kamala Harris knows that we got some more work to do. Even Kamala Harris knows we got more work to do. So if the McMichaels walk, if the McMichaels go free, if Greg and Travis McMichael, the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery, if they're declared not guilty, then we could say that this is a white supremacist society. This is a white supremacist society. Rittenhouse, okay. All right, right wing. You know, the scales were tipped in his favor. He beat the murder charge, and they went ahead and threw the reckless endangerment and the minor with the gun charge out. So, okay, the scales were tipped in his favor. Fine, I could see that. I can, all right, fine, whatever. Not happy about it, but, maybe my politics did get in the way a little bit. But if the McMichaels walk, if Ahmaud Arbery, if he doesn't get any justice, then I think you could clearly say that it's a white supremacist society. He was lynched. He trespassed in the house several times. Maybe he was thinking about stealing. Maybe he was going to go take something. Maybe he took something and threw it in the goddamn woods. But guess what? We don't have any evidence of that. All we got evidence is that he walked inside the house just like other people did. So that means he's a trespasser. Maybe that's an arrest. Maybe you spend one night in jail. What the fuck are you doing in somebody else's house? That's fucking suspicious. That's fucking weird as shit. You know what you're doing in that? And then, okay, so that's what? A ticketable offense? Somebody said it was just a warning. Hey, don't you dare trespass. Hey, you better stop trespassing. I guess that would be the first one, right? The first time, hey, stop. But he did it several times. They're working themselves up into a hoopla. They worked themselves into a goddamn frenzy, and they just got in their trucks just to have a conversation with him, just to go talk to him. He never threatened him. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't have any stolen goods. He's just jogging through the neighborhood, and ultimately, with white supremacy, isn't that the whole point? Jealousy of black bodies? Look at that young black man sprinting like a gazelle. My God, and here I'm just a stupid old, white, feeble nobody. I'm a big, fat Greg, Travis McMichael fucking racist piece of shit. And, that scares me. I'm scared. And they called the police. They worked themselves into a frenzy. He ran out of the house like a bat out of hell. Greg McMichael had a feeling in his gut. He told his son, come on, let's go do it. His obedient son did exactly as Greg McMichael told him to do. And they lynched a black man. So people want to say, yeah, I think if you look at Ahmaud Arbery, you should be traumatized by it because man versus machine, cars and trucks win. Look at Suge Knight. He ran a motherfucker over. If you're jogging and a truck wants to fucking chase you down and run you over, they can definitely do that. So he didn't steal nothing, just trespassing. That means the McMichaels are guilty of murder. They're guilty of fucking, capital punishment, life in prison. I don't know if there's lesser charges or not in their case, but they should get something. If they walk for free, just not guilty. Not guilty. They just get to walk. So Johnny Hurley gets killed. If you're a white man on the side of, black folks, if you're a white man on the side of justice, if you're a white man who says, I don't like an armed shooter walking through the neighborhood just killing anybody and everybody, if you're a white man who doesn't like armed, gunmen shooting anybody and everybody, like Johnny Hurley, you'll get gunned down in the street. You'll be shot and murdered. And you know what white America will say? Not a goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing. At least for black folks, you got a community that, is outraged on your behalf, which is a good start. That's the beginning. But Johnny Hurley gets shot up, and then white society, white system, they cover that fucking murder up. He saved the fucking day. The cops murdered him, and they buried the charges. The cop doesn't even get charged with reckless endangerment or menacing or disorderly. That wasn't even disorderly conduct. If you shoot the hero of the day, if you shoot the Good Samaritan of Arvada and shoot and kill the Good Samaritan of Arvada that just saved us all, well, that's all right. That's just fine and dandy. Nah, you get on out of here, you. You get on out of here, you. I'm sure your own conscience will make you feel bad about it. I'm sure you'll have trouble sleeping, and that'll be your punishment. You'll have to live. So let's see how America focuses on the McMichael case, because they are guilty. They are guilty as fuck. My God, you can't get more guilty than McMichaels. Right after Travis McMichael killed Ahmaud Arbery, he said effing N-word. He said effing N-word. That was the culmination. That was the point. That was the point. So let's get some justice for Ahmaud. Peace.